नित्यानन्द परमशिवोऽहम् ॐ 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 नित्या.
So, hello everybody, welcome. My name is Dr. Peter Bloomfield, and I'm the convener for this presentation. The title of our presentation is Methodologies and Strategies for Sustainable Mental Health.
Recording in progress.
Mind-body approach. Again, my name is Peter Bloomfield, and I'm an emergency physician. I'm based out of Los Angeles. I work in academia, and I work in the community as an emergency physician, and I'm also here representing KAILASA Nityananda Hindu University. And we're very excited to give this presentation. If anyone has questions, you're free to ask in the chat. Just our time is a little bit tight, so if we're not able to get to your questions, we really strongly invite you to contact us afterwards. We're very excited about what we're talking about and what we're going to be presenting, and we're very happy to interact further. So this is the agenda of our presentation. We're going to have by Dr. Muktananda, who's an AI expert, is going to give an intro to mental health. Followed by that, I'm going to be giving a talk on studies that have been done on a mind-body approach to mental health. This is connected to and run through Nityananda Hindu University, and I think it's really groundbreaking, and I'm super excited to talk about it. Then Muktananda is going to give an unclutching meditation, which is, this presentation is going to be part lecture and part experiential as well. So you should come out of here both informed and very blissfully relaxed. That will be our goal. If we achieve that, we've met our goals. Then Dr. Aranke, who's a practicing neurologist, who's connected with Nichandeshwara Paramashiva Hindu Temple in Houston, and Dr. Sandeep Pandov, who's a hospitalist connected with Johns Hopkins, Howard County, and Dr. Nirmala Shivaji, who's a practicing anesthesiologist, who's connected with Nityananda Meditation Academy, are going to be giving a talk on neuroscientific approach to mental health, and then who's a urogynecologist at the Women's Health Excellence Center. She's going to talk about women's mental health issues. Then Dr. Patel, who's a psychiatrist who's representing KAILASA Los Angeles and also practicing in the community, is going to talk about mental health and children's issues. And then finally, I'll give a conclusion and a call to action. And for everyone who is able to stay, we're going to have a kriya, which is a technique for stress reduction. That'll be really nice. So it should be a very enriching and enlightening experience for everyone. And we're very happy to have you here. Briefly, this Science Summit is geared at how we can bring new scientific innovations to help the UN achieve its sustainable development goals. We picked goal number 1, no poverty, number 3, good health and well-being, and number 16, peace, justice, and strong institutions. Really, if you look at the sustainable development goals, enhancing mental health will really help assist in achieving almost all of them. So we feel strongly that the work that we have and what we're bringing forth can help the UN achieve its goals and really bring a lot of positive mental health and well-being globally. So we think it's very perfectly aligned with this summit, and we're extremely grateful to the UN General Assembly for our concepts of mental health.
Thank you, Dr. Peter Bloomfield. Really appreciate it. And thank you for inviting us to participate in this session of what we mean by mental health. This definition of mental health is taken straight from the UN. Today is going to focus on the long term, right? So there are 3 aspects to mental health. One is treating after the problem has happened, but 2 important parts of it are being preventative and also enhancing mental health. We'll talk about it briefly. Mental health is one of the greatest challenges of our time. Close to 1 billion people are affected worldwide, and this is from 2019. And all of you know that COVID only made this problem much worse. And today's estimates are probably a quarter to a third higher than what we saw in society. Psychological is, can we change the thoughts to control thoughts? Maybe think of happier things. It's more like positive thinking. And social is, can we manage jobs and relationships? Can we manage the environment around us? To be truly sustainable, which is what this session is about, I think that traditional approaches have to be sustained with holistic approaches, which are not usually identified or addressed. So in that sense, we not only treat mental health, but also enhance mental health ahead of time and then prevent it from happening. This is far cheaper, more effective, and more sustainable. Instead of just handling emotions, we should handle the source of emotions, address the mind-body system as a whole. And Dr. Peter is going to talk about, have an entire definitions. You may hear these words through some presentations, and I wanted to define them ahead of time. Like incompletions are any past memory, thoughts, and emotions that restrict our spontaneity in the current moment and limit our actions in the future, which means they are limiting our future potential. They tend to manifest as like strong, low emotions such as anger, depression, agitation. So anytime you feel any of these negative emotions, you're probably experiencing incompletion. And of course, completion is a mental cycle. But very honestly, we are capable of extraordinary achievements. In fact, if you look at the scriptures, like Science of Enlightenment as a scripture, there is one part which is like, talks about extraordinary potentials, like even delve into the mind-body studies.
Okay, thank you so much, Dr. Muktananda. So again, my section is titled Qualitative and Quantitative Studies of Mind-Body Approach to Mental Health. And we love your questions and welcome them. Please feel free to put them. We're also, time is moving quickly, so we're gonna have to move fast. We have a lot to cover. So this presentation is brought to you by Nityananda Hindu University. I'm representing the research department of Nityananda Hindu University. And this is a university that is styled after the ancient Vedic, ancient Hindu universities from antiquity. This is, a being we could talk about all day. The Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan Nityananda Paramashivam, who is, as per Hinduism, he is an incarnation of Paramashiva, which is the primordial divinity. And starting from birth as a yogi, he has achieved high consciousness and enlightenment and incarnation status. To Bhagavan Nityananda Paramashivam, sometimes as Swamiji, which is a way that we refer to him, which is an address of tremendous respect and tremendous affection because of the positivity he's brought to our life. So some of the research is done with him, and I'll be describing him that way there. So briefly, so mind-body. So treating mental health through the mind is very challenging in that it goes beyond the mind. So efforts to powerfully address mental health has started to look at a mind-body system, and we'll be talking about it a little bit later about things like the biome and the physical structures of how the mind and body interact and the brain and body interact. And then we're positing that it also can extend to consciousness, and that how we experience our mental health is going to be a reflection of our mind and our body and our. So the first topic we're going to talk about is cellular effects of mind-body intervention. So this was a 3-week program called Inner Awakening, again organized by Swamiji and run directly by Swamiji. Involved activities like yoga, meditation, initiations, which we're going to talk about what that looks like at the EEG level, a sattvic diet, the science of completion, which we'll talk about as well. And participants' blood were drawn before and after that reduced stress and reduced inflammation, were upregulated again 2 to 7-fold. And then there were 2 specific pathways that they noted. One is an anti-aging pathway called GATA2 and BM1 that was upregulated, which shows up in a follow-up, like the aging system of the cells at the DNA level. When the telomeres in the chromosomes in the DNA get short, then the cell can no longer reproduce and becomes senescent or becomes no longer effective. So maintaining the telomeres long is a job of telomerase. So people who did this program, their levels at the end versus the beginning, you see it's 967%. It's not a typo, it's really true. Basically 10-fold increase in mitochondrial metabolism. So you would expect that to show up in a massive surge of energy. So when you put together at the cellular level a huge surge in energy, combine that with anti-aging, rejuvenation, and then reduction in stress. Now we looked at how does that show up at the level of the sample, because it's through an online program, and then we did a paired and unpaired analysis. So here's what we found. So the total score, per US average, total score is around 18. A higher number means more depression, more anxiety, more stress. So you want a low score in this. For the participants, the score was already much lower than average initially, which may reflect that some people already had taken initiations and were involved in the mind-body approach to life. 5, well-being index. So this goes from 0 to 100, where a higher score is a higher sense of well-being. Less than 50 is going to correlate with depression. And for example, one population we looked at in research was women in infertility. The score is about 53. In many, it'll vary around the world, but many populations will be around 50 or so. In our participants, they started around 60 seen. And the last one is mindfulness. And this looks at the ability to be present. So this gives you a score from 1 to 6, where 6 will be the most mindful, means completely in the moment, completely present. This is a space people aspire to be in. The average for undergrad college students is given as 3.85. For Zen meditators, that he can create at will beyond normal human. A PET scan measures metabolic activity in the body structure being studied. In this PET scan of the brain, when Swamiji would activate his third eye through his will, the area that's called the mesiofrontal lobe, which is where the frontal lobes meet, right at the area where the chakra of the third eye, as per Hindu structure, Hindu spiritual anatomy, right where that is, that area would light up in the brain when you would activate his third eye, which I think is really fascinating. And then on EEG, which measures brain activity, and then again, that neuroscientist noted, this is a quote, Swamiji demonstrated a remarkable ability to shift between brain states during meditation, samadhi, which is like a superconscious state, connected with the yogic tradition, and healing conditions. It said he is always in a permanent state of meditation. Then this is the one that I think is most fascinating. There's a Dr. William Collins. This was done in 2005 in St. Louis. He's a neurofeedback researcher who was looking at EEG. And he noticed when he got a baseline reading, he kept changing the probes and changing the settings, because he said there's almost no activity on the EEG as baseline. Means when he was sitting there in a calm state, the brain was just completely quiet, extreme gamma activity in the whole brain. Also, when he did just a general healing that wasn't specific to the person in the room, again, their whole brain of that person would go into a high gamma activity. So we're positing that this is how an EEG of initiation looks when a being who has attained this state of consciousness, so again, it's a really remarkable thing. One thing that I'd also say is in the ashram, they've done again, when Swamiji is doing initiations to his disciples or people visiting his ashram as well, he puts their brain in gamma waves, high amplitude gamma waves, which is a very specific kind of gamma wave that's almost never seen. So real quick primer on brainwaves. Brainwaves is you'll notice this illustration doesn't have gamma waves. Part of that is because gamma waves, people didn't even know about them until relatively recently, because you normally cannot see them on a normal EEG. They were normally detected with something called a QEEG, where you take a computer and look at the raw data and see tiny little, very, very low amplitude up and down high frequency waves that you can't really see with your naked eye, but the computer level of dementia start to get cleaned up. So the idea is that gamma activity can prevent and possibly even treat Alzheimer's dementia. So if we're looking at Alzheimer's prevention, which is a huge global issue, gamma waves, I think, are definitely something to look at. And they're currently working on devices can also be created through spiritual activities and mind-body interventions. The last group I'll talk about is long-term meditators. These were Tibetan Buddhists, are developing this capacity, which means this level, which we're positing as a space of super consciousness, very high level of consciousness that correlates with concepts of enlightenment that have been talked about throughout history. This level, this capacity can be built in people and built in large groups of people over time. So this is raw data of an EEG of a very high level disciple of Swamiji, and you can see TPS is thoughts per second, means completely quiet mind. and their whole sense of space will be just completely spacious and unclutched. So we're really excited about this. I think it has tremendous significance for humanity on many levels, and we're excited to research it further. So we'll be talking a little more at the end. Anyone who's out there who's listening, if you're interested in this space of consciousness and how to recreate it and measure it and study it, please call Sattvic diet and fasting. Later, another presentation is going to talk about these things. Detoxing with herbs. Puja is a ritualistic connection to higher consciousness. Yoga pada, yoga and pranayamas and meditations and kriyas. We'll be doing all of these experiential in this presentation. And then knowing, pursuit of powerful cognitions means knowing yourself as a very powerful, connected being.
You have fewer and fewer thoughts. That's fewer thoughts per second. And he showed quite a few brain scans, which actually denote that kind of a state, right? So there is a meditation. We just wanted to play a little video about a meditation that can help you get to that state and calm your mind down. Like very often we are, Peter.
Sorry, let me get back there. 1 second.
Maintain, fight with, try to destroy. Anyway, engage. Do not do anything with your internal thought process. Just unclutch. And I tell you, it will develop such powerful will persistence in you. Such powerful will persistence. Extremely powerful will. You will sit with yourself in a very matured way. Highly matured way. Sit with yourself with highest maturity. Each unclutch from all thought process. Creating, maintaining, destroying.
One follow the other. First, I think about my house. I'm thinking about my dog in my house, and then the food the dog didn't eat, and so on and so forth. So it's an association of thoughts that creates problem. So if you unclutch from each thought as they appear, then you don't associate them, and then they just become random series of thoughts which don't affect you. That's the whole idea. So initially, you can use the word unclutch, and but after a little while, you can just
Are you able to hear it now?
no.
How about now?
becomes more visible to you. Sometimes the blood pumping through your heart becomes more audible to you, unclutched from those also. So there is as you hear things, those are also thoughts. They're triggering thoughts inside of you. So
Well as positive findings in lifestyle measures such as yoga and meditation. So next slide. So the brain plays a very important role in regulating mood and cognition, not only through activity of certain brain structures, but the gut, in a sense, is the second brain. It has a very extensive nervous system called the enteric nervous system, and there's a communication between the brain and the digestive system, which is two-way, which is really important in mental health. And it turns out lifestyle measure of diet is very crucial in mental health. So eating a Western diet has been associated with brain structure. So we've seen that brain, like MRIs show that there's actually atrophy or loss of brain cells in important areas of the brain, areas which regulate memory, learning, and emotion, like the hippocampus, the prefrontal cortex, which is really important for attention, planning, judgment, impulse control, the orbital frontal cortex, which is important in regulating our emotions. And it's not only about us, but it's how we bond with other people, how we interact with others. So imaging studies show, for example, some brain white matter pathways or tracks which are negatively affected in depression. Then move on to the next slide. So what has been really, in a way, groundbreaking is that initially we thought that brain cells, we have a limited number of brain cells or neurons, and once they're gone, that's in practitioners of yoga. Areas like the insula, superior temporal gyrus, occipital gyrus, and cerebellum are important for emotional awareness, processing of language and speech, as well as empathy. So being able to empathize with others and relate to others, interact with others. All of these areas are very important for that, and these are enhanced with increased amount. Now we can move on to what we found in practitioners of meditation. So they have been studied structurally, but also functionally. So we have functional MRI studies which look more than the brain structure. It looks at different areas of brain that are activated during certain tasks. Also, imaging studies have looked at the thickness of the cortex. This contains the brain cells or neurons, and it turns out these are thicker in various brain regions listed there. These are regions that are important for emotions, decision-making, learning, and memory, and also the ability to monitor ourself, to know what's happening within us and our environment, and as well as having the dopamine is the brain chemical responsible for the feeling of pleasure or reward. Interestingly, studies in both yoga and meditation practitioners have shown that they have lower levels of a very important hormone called cortisol. This is a stress hormone released at the time that we're stressed out. You may have heard of the flight or fight response, and so this is released. And unfortunately, what this does also is this leads to a cascade of other events in the body, including more inflammation, which ends up increasing risk for various health problems that we see today, such as high blood pressure, diabetes, heart disease. There was a very interesting study they took up people who were depressed and put through a 12-week program of yoga. And they measured their amount of anxiety and depression before and after.
A healthy gut microbiome. So before we talk about that, we should know what gut-brain axis is. So basically the brain is connected to the gut by a vagus nerve. So what it means is what happens in the gut affects what happens in the brain. So the next question comes is, how can we impact the gut in a best possible way? So, the whole food plant-based diet, which is called sattvic diet, which basically comprises of fruits, vegetables, whole grains, legumes, beans, and least amount of unprocessed food and meat. So reducing the anxiety and depression. So this is one impact. And the second impact it does is that it improves the bowel movements. So basically what it does is, since it is high in fiber, so people get relief from constipation, and so there is less of inflammation in the gut lining. So it reduces all the inflammatory bowel diseases and as well as the autoimmune diseases. So in nutshell, basically the healthy microbiome.
And then a discussion, so you can go very quickly.
Oh. Are we waiting for the video?
We're waiting for you to quickly go over this slide.
Okay, yeah, so inflammation is higher in some people with depression. Whole food plant-based diet reduces inflammation, antioxidants, phytochemical, and promotes a balanced neurotransmitter system. Elimination of animal.
They are not going to say, let the whole world be blissful and die. No. They leave so much of suffering and die that gets recorded in that muscle memory and biomemory. When you eat that, you will fall into depression for a small reason. Your husband late from the office for 5 minutes is enough to make him as a late husband.
Are crucial for mental health. And lifestyle changes are critical and sustainable. And objective scientific information now is available showing that yoga and meditation actually expands parts of the brain which are vital for mental health. And the plant-based diet also improves that brain-gut chemistry to improve. Now, to also Dr. Bandav and Dr. Nirmala Shivaji. And maybe we can discuss how the Hindu lifestyle practices that Swamiji is promoting have made an impact.
So the least is, you lose weight, and but other than that, so emotionally you feel much better, you feel much lighter, your energy level goes through the roof, and the last, your meditation deepens like amazingly to a deep level, in the sense that you're not doing meditation, it is kind of happening to you. So it's a different state to be in, and I found this to be amazingly powerful technique. I think Dr. Shanti, you may have also.
People around me noticed. I mean, even your skin will start to glow. You will even appear younger. People would comment on that, wonder what I was doing. And so I definitely also experienced those similar kinds of benefits,
when I was doing it, I felt like saying, darn it, I should have done it earlier.
Yes, very much. So I wished I had, I really didn't know about any of this before Swamiji. So
I think Dr. Shivaji had an experience that she maybe would like to share about Nirahara Samima.
It's being a doctor and being an anesthesiologist using all the time antihistamines on patients. And it was so good, and I used to tell everybody, about the Nirahara Samima. This is my personal experience about that. And then, are we going to talk about Aushadha?
Dr. Shivaji,
because we are running out of time, I'm going to go through this very briefly. But what Dr. Aranke and others like Dr. Pandav, all of them discussed, is that it's a simple change in lifestyle can lead to an amazing improvement in mental health, in physical and mental health. And part of changing lifestyle is not only practicing yoga, and unfortunately, we're not going to be practicing any of the yoga asanas today because it's difficult to demonstrate on this in this particular venue, so that your tongue is sticking out like this. And then deeply inhale through your tongue and then exhale through your nose, right? Like this. So inhale through your tongue and then exhale through your nose. You will see that this instantly, you will feel that the feeling of coolness in your chest. How many of you feel that deep cooling happening in your chest? You actually feel it there, right there. It's such an instantaneous, it works instantaneously, and you also see your mind is calmed down. Great. Now let's move on to the next pranayama. Normally, when you do this Shitali pranayama, you do it 21 times, like breathing in the right nostril. And after you breathe out through your right nostril completely, typically you take like almost twice as long to breathe out than breathe in. So count breathing in. If you count breathing in 5 times, breathe out till the count of 10. For example, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Close your lips. If breathing out makes you feel stressed because I'm asking you to breathe out twice as long, you don't have to do it. Just breathe out like till the count of 6 or 7. That's also okay. Whatever makes you feel relaxed. Typically, breathing in the alternate nostril breathing actually makes you feel quite relaxed. Okay. Let's move on to the last technique. The last technique is called Brahmari Pranayama. It's an amazing technique to clear your mind of flushes negative thoughts and anxiety from your head and just fills it with the hum that is pure thoughts, nothing else, right? Let's try doing this for a few times. Continue humming for a while. Done together, they actually have very powerful medicinal, sorry, I won't say medicinal, it's a very powerful effect in cooling the body, right? So we're going to talk about kriyas at the end of this whole session. Wait till then to hear a little bit more, but search online for Nityananda kriyas and you will find them, okay? With this, let's move on to the next section. Who suffer more often from mental health issues that, like we shared before, are the ones who are unable to access such resources. At least one thing that everyone needs, like people need a spiritual solution for mental health. And if you think about it, an everyday companion, which is easily available at their fingertips to handle emotions on a daily basis. But maybe even answer bigger, probably can get access to these services. It can be as easy as accessing mail or WhatsApp, for example. And the beautiful thing is conversational AI can actually help address a wide variety of mental health needs. I want to say for sure here that AI cannot replace human beings. We still need people. And we need AI or the science of happiness as taught by Hinduism. So this Nityananda.ai has the entire access to his teachings and the science of happiness and the science of enlightenment as taught by Hinduism. And it can answer questions from that perspective. So with that, let me show you a screenshot. I didn't have time to go through extensive. You is under your control. Being integrated is all about being integrated to your thoughts and actions. Enriching is about making sure others are in this state of enlightenment along with you. And completion is what I defined before, right? So it uses these principles to spend time with me. I feel disappointed, and she wants to do things that are different from me. What do I do? So this now addresses how to think about this in a self-reflective way, how to introspect into the source of where this challenge comes from. Why do you feel unimportant? Why do you think your sister should do what you want to do, right? and encourages open communication, understanding that. Let's move on to the next section. Okay, now I hand it over to Dr. Prema Kodanraman to talk about women's issues.
Good evening, friends. I'm Dr. Prema Kodanraman, OBGYN Urogynecology 22. The incidence of mental illness among women is increasing. It's pretty alarming. Mental health issues can affect anyone, but causes to women are very unique. Hormonal changes, race discrimination, and the gender pay gap can lead to chronic stress. Relationship dynamics, women often become on emotional labor. So the causes are different. Now, when we look at the modern day treatments of mental illness, women seeking treatment to treat their mental disorders. And the other treatments like brain stimulation can be used in special situations, proven results by empowering women. So when we go into the depth of the empowering methods before, so let's read this very powerful verses from Manuvati Dharma Shastra. Very powerful words about women. Women, by their very DNA, have the capacity and groundedness to hold an ecosystem or family or a team or a community together. So women have their own intuitive intelligence in the field of keeping something very stable, keeping it together and making it functional. So Hinduism creates an ecosystem for the legislative chambers, put their views on forefront. So women hold 80% of leadership positions in KAILASA. While KAILASA's policy stipulates that 33% legislative positions should be held by women, currently women make up 90% of the governance in KAILASA. So when we empower women, they can be great leaders. So we are women on planet Earth. At social prominence, Swamiji has worked tirelessly for gender equality, not only in the economic society, but also in the spiritual and religious realm. The Sannyas Sampradaya, the monastic order in Kailasa, is established by Swamiji is unique in that the free ordains women and allows women to perform temple rituals. This is the real true reviving of the indigenous women to become again to get financial freedom and emotional support. EN Pregnancy is a great program where it supports pregnant women for having a painless delivery and a blissful birthing experience. So by looking at all this empowering women's projects happening in Kailasa,
Nothing to do with it. It is something to do with your inner quality. And next word, awaken. Only the feminine energy, sacred feminine, need to be awakened. You already have too much masculine. The whole world is suffering with too much masculine
experience. I have like 14 years of medical education and practicing for 25 years of women care and being there in women during their most sensitive time, pregnancy, delivery, taking care of all age group, very powerful, healthy life. So for all women, mothers, homemakers, anyone, everyone, get empowered with Kailasa ecosystem created by His Divine Holiness, Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Paramahamsa Nityananda. And it's a great incident that Navaratri festival is coming. It's an annual Hindu festival. We celebrate Divine Mother energy for 9 nights. And there is a short video. Listen from his powerful words and transforming message to all. Thank you.
Listen to yourself and start penning down precisely what all resistance, anger, fear, guilt, powerlessness, what all is getting blurted out, vomited by your immature mind. Listen, pen down. This pattern start completing. You will see me appearing in the mirror and making you completely complete and making you manifest powerful cognitions and powers. Till I appear in the mirror, continue completion. And I tell you, I will really pen down all of that. Whatever patterns tells you, you need to be internally, externally dependent on something else other than Paramashiva. Pen down. Pen down. Sit in front of mirror and start completing all those patterns and incidents, root incidents, everything. Let all the incompletions,
unique challenges for mental health. And we have the next slide. So I have here some of the fact sheets from World Health Organization. We'll quickly go over. 1 in 7, 10 to a 19-year-old experience mental disorders. And another alarming number is 13% of this is a global burden of disease in this age group. And suicide is the 4th leading cause of death and all these challenges. To address these challenges, it is crucial to address it at an early age. And prevention is one of the key components. Supreme Pontiff of Hinduism, Bhagavan Sri Nityananda Paramasivam, had given solution of supplementing conventional education with Hindu education system, which is mind-body consciousness-based education system, which, and it can be sustainable development. Can we state case studies done on students at Nityananda Gurukul, where Hindu education system is integrated with conventional educational. Here is the result of whole brain activation studies for which Bender Gestalt test was performed. This test assesses visual motor skills development, neurological functioning, and level of whole brain activation. This test is divided in 2 phases. First phase, or on the next slide, we have numbers from Sloan IQ test, which is highly validated intelligent test, measures a variety of capabilities, including comprehension, arithmetic, and visual motor in intellectual and mental health, and evidence of whole brain activation and high level of thinking. Policies need to change to integrate such education into conventional curriculum. And of course, as I said, more studies are needed to evidence, but policies to change and integrate this education into conventional curriculum would.
Anyone who's interested in researching this possibility, this phenomena that I think is available here in ways it's not been described otherwise, we invite you to collaborate with us to participate in research. Of course, we would appreciate funding. As you can see, there's been remarkable research findings, and all the research we've published has been very remarkable, very outside of the ordinary findings, and we're very sure the origin. So we invite policymakers, we invite academicians, and other politicians, anyone, to contact us to see how we can bring this to the world to attain and achieve the UN Sustainable Development Goals and bring higher possibilities of mental health and overall life and potential to the global community. So with that, thank you so much for everyone who came. If you're able...
in this energy circulation, energy flow, if there is a disturbance in some part, for example, liver, kidney, or heart, intestine, at some part, if there is a disturbance in different ways.
The human body has 7 circuits: blood circuit, circulatory system, nerve circuit, the nervous system, prana circuit, the respiratory system, digestive circuit, excretory circuit, reproductive circuit, and energy circuit. Of these circuits, The energy circuit is governed. Energy reaches the different parts of the body through the 72,000 nadis or energy channels. Let's say, for instance, there is a block somewhere in the circuit of pipelines. Then what happens? There is no flow of water. Then you identify and correct the block. Even if the blockage is removed, water has to be pumped in. Energy flow is re-established. Energy starts flowing and the disease is healed.
Now, if your body is put in certain position, that energy blockages get removed. The energy circulation, that plumbing, gets properly aligned. Acute route is aligned and energy is pumped. You are out of the disease. You are out of the disorder. You are free. These kriyas are not just ordinary asana, ordinary yoga postures, ordinary kumbhaka, ordinary pranayama. It is like two different chemicals. Separately, if you take, it may take 10 years for you to cure the disease. But mixed properly in certain combination, it removes the disease in 2 days, in one dosage.
The kriyas help to restore.
It's called mantra. Externally, when you listen, it's called chanting. So, mantra, internal verbalization. Fifth, chanting, external, the sound you are hearing. And sixth, now I am adding.
I can just walk everybody stress. Hypertension essentially is a high blood pressure, which happens because of stress, right? So this kriya has simple 3 steps. It actually builds on top of what we did before, right? Earlier, so you have to sit in a special posture. It is not very difficult. It is, you sit with your knees drawn to your chest, and then you just put your hands around your knees and hug them and pull them closer. That's it, right? So that way you are sitting with your knees drawn in and your heels touching as close to your body as possible. You just have to look ahead. That's the posture. Peter will show the picture. That's the second step. In that posture, you just hum intensely. And the humming is something I already shared with you before. And so the third step is lie close to your chest and then do intense humming. That's for 7 minutes. And then finally, we leave you with the lying down and unclutching. And typically this combination of these 3, doing this before you go to sleep, is very, very powerful. It will de-stress your entire body very beautifully. Okay, let's start with Nadi Shodhana. If Peter, you could play the music. With your thumb, close your right nostril. few minutes. You can play the music too, Peter. Thanks. When you unclutch from your thoughts, you will start focusing more on the music and the sound outside of you. Unclutch from that also. But we just wanted to share some experiential, some experiences with you, so you can find out for yourself. So I hope you can practice this meditation before going to sleep every day. It's very powerful, not only in de-stressing, but also in performing to your life's best.
United Nations going forward. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming, and have a beautiful rest of your evening.
Thank you so much.
Recording stopped.
Thank you.